Okay. Okay, welcome everyone to our product knowledge training. This is the second of a three-part series that I am doing, and today's we'll be focusing on the age group of 5 to 8-year-olds. Yesterday we focused on newborn to 3 or 4, and on Monday we will be doing the older age group, which is about 9 to 12 years of age. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Shaaron, and I am a Usborne supervisor. I've been with the company now for 3 years, and I am not a book expert as much as I would love to be called that. I'm not. I am just a passionate ambassador for parents around the country who want to get these amazing books into their homes and want to teach their kids to read, encourage their kids to read. There's a piece of fluff right over my mouth on my screen that I know you can't see, but I can see, and it's bothering me because it's right there. And so any of the information that I give to you today is information that I myself have just researched the heck out of. I'm also a tutor for reading, early literacy, and so I use a lot of what I know as tools and resources in my job as well. So without further ado, we are going to press on. So the age group of 5 to 8, I will say, is my favorite age. I have 4 young children, and 2 of them are in that age group. And I am passionate about that age group. It is a very difficult age group for them to be in, and I recognize that. And I think that as parents, we also know, if parents of a child in that age group, we also know how emotional it is, how unsettling it is, how much learning happens in that age group. Ladies, can you all just mute yourself, because it makes the recording a lot more smoother if we're all muted. Thank you. So recognizing that as an Usborne Books consultant is important. And I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. You are, as an Usborne Books consultant, not selling books. Did you know that? You don't sell books. You sell answers to problems. And yes, that comes in the form of a book. And very often for myself, and this is just the way I've chosen to run my business, it doesn't come in the form of an Usborne book. It comes in the form of a book that I can recommend and get for one of my customers who has a problem, because I have the answer to that problem. And those problems can look like: my child hates reading, my child can't potty train, my child hates its younger sibling, my child just destroys books and I don't know how to make him love books. My child is really struggling in grade 3 math. And any one of those problems are real life problems that we as parents struggle with on the regular basis. And as an Usborne Books consultant, you have an answer to that problem. So I'm going to say it again, because if you get nothing out of these trainings, I really want that to sink in deep, because it's going to revolutionize the way that you market yourself and also your business. You do not sell books. If you're only selling a book, then you've missed the mark. You are selling an answer to a problem that a parent has or a grandparent has. And so keep that in mind when you are recommending books, when you're seeking out new customers, when you're talking with customers. Find out, what are the problems that you have? How can I help you with that? Okay, so moving on. We're going to start right on in on the books that I'm going to be showing you today, keeping in mind that this is for the 5 to 8-year-old age range. And there are, I would say, the majority of our catalog, so thousands, hundreds, let's say, of books that would be suitable for this age. I'm going to show you a very, very brief selection of them, and maybe there's some books in here that you haven't seen or haven't thought to recommend for this particular age group. So first and foremost, I'm going to start with our phonics readers. Okay, So we get some new ones every now and then, funny ones, funny titles. They are all rhyming books, which we absolutely love. And rhyming actually is a really important skill, especially when it comes to early literacy, because it introduces rhythm, and they are learning that right from the very, very beginning. But a rhyming book also introduces predictability. Like, for example, measles with weasels, there's only so many options that could rhyme with measles, and so it's predictable for a child who's learning. It's not going to be measles with chickenpox. That doesn't rhyme. So it's predictable, and so that it makes it fun to read. Now these books here range in price from $8.95 to $10.95, I think, them, or maybe $9.95. And that if you had been at convention this year, you would have seen we're coming out with a whole bunch of new ones. Moving onwards, now I recommend these for every age group, including the younger ones, and they are my go-to birthday gift present idea. These are our fold and flies, and maybe right off the bat you're thinking, what are we going to get out of these? But the reality is that they get a lot out of these. So we do have a few different ones in this series. So obviously our fold and fly ones are this size, and they come with 100 sheets of printed paper, beautiful double-sided printed paper. They range in price from $9.95 to $13.95, and basically the child is going to take the instruction sheet, fold out instruction sheet here, and learn how to make these 4 different vehicles or birds or bugs or whatever it is that they're making, and then they fly them. Now, where's the reading involved in this? Well, instructions are an amazing way for your little ones to learn how to read, or to encourage more reading. Reading the instructions on how to make each of these different things, it's a great way to get to learn to read. I'm just gonna mute. Did I get everyone? Yes. So reading the instructions. The other thing that this is really helping is hand-eye coordination, because they have to fold along the edge of a line. And then the other thing that I love that isn't necessarily obvious with these books is the team building that happens with these books. And this is what I say to my customers. I always recommend these when there's multiple kids in the family, as a way to do a Saturday morning activity. So we give a book like this to our kids. I have 4 kids, and they each have to make 3 different airplanes. And then the paper that comes in the box that we wrap up, that comes in packing paper, we cut holes in it and put points, like 500 points, 100 points, 300 points, 1,000 points, and we hang it in a doorway, tape it to the doorway, and then we put a line on the floor, and they have to shoot their paper airplane through the hole and get the most points. So it becomes a family activity, and reading doesn't have to just be individual, right? We've encouraged a relationship, and maybe that's the problem that you were presented with. My kids just don't get along. And so this could be the answer to a problem. So moving swiftly onwards, this series of books is honestly one of our bestsellers, and I often say it is my favorite series of books. Oh, actually, I also forgot fortune tellers. Same, right? Make a fortune teller and swap it out with your sister or your brother and make your own ones, and obviously following the instructions on how to make them. Reading. Okay, well, that's the pile that I've done. So this series obviously is our well-known Look Inside series. It is aimed for our 5 to 7-year-olds or 4 to 7-year-olds, and it is known for its flaps within flaps. So this particular book, Look Inside the Body, you can always tell your customers, is an award-winning book. It has won a few awards in its lifetime, and it's very obvious to see why. It is so jam-packed full of information. Upside down man eating an apple. And one of the things that I love to point out about this book is it even talks about feelings and emotions. So when it talks about the page with the brain, it talks about emotions and And so it touches on a lot of different subjects. All of your senses are covered in this book. If you ever have a customer who asks about a book that covers our 5 senses, this is always the one I recommend. And what's nice about this is one of those fluid line books that I was mentioning yesterday, where it will appeal to a younger audience, but it also appeals to an older audience. So it's one of those books that really does transition for any number of ages. And so when you have a family that has multiple ages, I always recommend a book like this because it can be enjoyed by all of them. Here's why it can be enjoyed by all of them. And this is one of the features that Usborne have done really well. When it comes to some of their non-fictional books like this, they usually have the title. I'm doing this backwards, so I'm hoping I'm doing this right. They usually have the title on the top left-hand corner. And then the title is always followed by a short paragraph of text. Now you will find, if you read this short paragraph of text in multiple different books, it's no more than 4 or 5 words to a sentence. The text is larger than the rest of the text on the page. And so this text here is actually meant as a beginner reader text. So what you could do is you could have your JKSK sound out the letters in the title. Then you could have your grade 1, grade 2 read the first paragraph, and then you can have your older student talk about the text that they see in the rest of the book, on the rest of the page, which is obviously smaller, more detailed, and more in-depth. So it really does appeal on one page to multiple ages. And you'll find that in a lot of our encyclopedias as well. I often recommend our encyclopedias for younger students because it is such a fun thing to do with an older sibling or a parent. So look inside. They range in price from $17.95 to $18.95. Okay, we're going to move on to one of our brand new books. These are our big books. Sorry, no, it's not big books. These are the Usborne Book of. Okay, so that I pulled out 2 from our stock. The Usborne Book of Nighttime and the Usborne Book of Planet Earth. These are a really, really big book, and they are $23. Yeah, $24, $23.95. But it's absolutely worth every penny, and here's why. It's a thicker page. It's not a board, but it's a thicker page. And again, you're going to notice title, paragraph of information explaining what's going on the entire double spread. That's going to be understood by all of the younger ages as well, and then lots more detail spread out across the page. What I love about this particular one, this one just came out this month, is, or last month, sorry, is the amount of information. I mean, this book just keeps going. Look at this. Like, it's just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. And it talks about everything from weather systems to phenomena around the world, to animal habitats, to climates, to various continents around the world. Like, it really does cover to like industry and what the world was like before and what it's like now and what it's going to be like in the future. And like, it really is a one-stop shop for everything Planet Earth. And so we absolutely love that book, and I love how it appeals to this age group. And the same with Nighttime. Again, just a beautiful, beautiful book that really is going to appeal to all of those different ages. Again, it has that title and the paragraph of information, no more than 4 or 5 words in a sentence. I'm going to pause right here, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of information that as I said, I'm passionate about. Okay, so the average age of learning, and I get this all the time, and maybe as an Usborne consultant you get this too. Maybe you have a parent that comes to you and they say, oh, can you help me with reading? My 4-year-old hates it. And I'm like, your what? Your 4-year-old hates it? Okay, well, let's get started with some picture books, or let's get started with just reading for the fun of it. Like, why does your 4-year-old have to learn how to read? Because actually, and maybe this is an unknown thing, but it's common knowledge, should be common knowledge, not so common anyway anymore, that the average age of learning how to read is actually 8. 8. So when you think of it that way, your 4-year-old who doesn't know how to read is not behind the times. He's actually incredibly ahead of the times if he wants to pick up a book and sound out letters. And so when you know that, you can encourage a parent who is discouraged by their maybe grade 1 their 6-year-old who doesn't recognize words at this point. That's okay. Are there tools that you can help you? Yes, absolutely. But your child is not behind the times. And then generally speaking, by the time all kids get into grades 2 or 3, everyone has kind of caught up. So if your 4-year-old learned how to read at 4, generally speaking, we don't see them staying ahead of the game all the way through their school career. They actually kind of level out, and by the grade 2s and 3s, they've kind of all caught up, and they're all around the same level. Yes, you'll have some who are a little ahead, and you'll have some who are needing to catch up a bit, but in general. And so knowing that, you can recommend you can calm a worried mother who says, my 5-year-old doesn't know how to read, and then you can maybe focus them on things that are age appropriate for their developmental stage. Okay, so what are some of the ways that you can encourage this age group to read? Okay, so this is, again, 5 to 8. I don't know what's going on with my hair. Sorry, ladies. Number 1, so if you're taking notes, you can write this down. Number 1, pay attention to what your child is interested in. The reason this is important is because I have parents who come to me all the time and they're like, hey, can you recommend a book for my kid? And I'm like, okay, how old are they? Oh, they're 7. Okay, what do they enjoy doing? Oh, well, they like food. Okay, do they like bugs? Yeah, I guess they do. Surely there must be something that your kid is passionate about. Pay attention to something that your kid is passionate about, because that's what you want to encourage your kid to read in. Number 2, set aside time every single day to read together. Now, we get this when our baby is baby, and when they're just learning how to toddle around, we get that. So obviously we're going to do bedtime story, but when they're 5 to 8 and maybe they're in grade school and you're thinking, what do you mean they're not going to climb into my lap anymore? Or maybe they don't want to climb into my lap, you know? And so bedtime stories become a thing of the past, and that's just not okay. It's not okay as a parent. We need to encourage a regular everyday time to read. And here's why. As I said at the very beginning, the ages of 5 to 8 is a very difficult time to live. Like, I couldn't imagine being 5 again. Or my 8-year-old who struggles so much with such huge emotion and hasn't got the brain capacity to understand why he's feeling the way he's feeling. And when we sit down, we learned this yesterday, when we sit down with mum or dad or a parent who is important in our lives, and we read, we are creating an emotional connection, and you are depositing in their emotional piggy bank. And when it comes time to drawing on that emotional piggy bank, if you have overflowed and filled it in, that you're going to be the one that they turn to. And so reading is such an amazing vehicle for you to be that person that they turn to when they are struggling in this age group. Number 3, make reading part of everyday life. So even as a 5-year-old, you're going to be wanting to drive along and ask, hey, what does that sign say? What does that sign say? Or we're writing a shopping list and you're giving it to your 6-year-old to read off what we're going to get at the grocery store. So you're making reading part of everyday life. Number 4, reading should be interactive. And this is where you're wanting to ask questions. So it's okay that your child has an opinion on the book that you either just read to them, or maybe they're reading for a book from school. And if their opinion is, this book sucks, they're allowed to voice that. If this book is boring, they're allowed to voice that. So ask their opinion. What do you think about this book? And try and encourage more than just it's good or it's boring. Try and encourage, why is it boring? Why is it good? Do you like the characters? Do you like the theme of the book? Because in doing so, you're garnering more information so that you can recommend new books to them that maybe won't be boring or would be even better than just good. Number 5, set goals. How many books are you going to read over the Christmas period? For example, if your grade school kid is not setting a goal for reading at least 1 chapter book over the course of the summer or over the course of the winter break, then they've got nothing to aim for. Make it be a prize at the end of it. What's the prize? And if they're not if they're a reluctant reader, don't make the prize be they get another book. Like, make the prize be they go to Wonderland, or they get a chocolate bar, or they get whatever it is that is their currency. Use their currency in order to encourage reading. Number 6, ask older siblings to read with younger siblings, because that is going to instill a confidence in them that that you just can't buy. Reading out loud to a younger sibling who isn't going to judge them if they missay something, or if they can't pronounce a word, is such a confidence boost, and I always recommend that for my customers as well. Number 7, go to the library. New books in your home. Have you actually got a variety of books in your home? Because how many reluctant reader parents do I have come to me and say, my kid just doesn't like reading? And I'm like, well, what do you have available to them? Oh, well, they go to the school library. Yeah, but the school library isn't in your home. So when the urge arises that they want to read, what are they going to read? Books that they don't want to read. And so there has to be a large variety of books available to them in your home in order to read, in order to encourage a love for reading. And then last but not least, and this is something that I am the most passionate about, and if you get something from these videos, I hope that this is it. We as parents and also as Usborne consultants need to be the most encouraging person in a child's life. And when my students walk in through that front door, they know that they can do no wrong, that they are the bee's knees, and that if they just say the alphabet, they are incredible. And I absolutely think the sun shines out of their backside. And the reason that's so important is because within weeks of them starting to have that poured into them, that encouragement, you can do this. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. You start to see they just kind of snowball, and it takes on a new life of its own. And all of a sudden, a child who couldn't do it is now attempting things. So when you have a parent come to you and they say, I've got a reluctant reader, he just doesn't read, I often ask them, are you like encouraging every single word? Like, if he's reading "the cat sat on the mat," when my students are reading "the cat sat on the mat," I'm saying yes after every word. The cat, yes, sat, yes, on, woohoo! Like, if I'm not encouraging you, like, ladies, then they're not getting that boost of confidence that they can do this. So encourage your parents to be that person in their life. And then last but not least, and this is important, set an example. If you are a reluctant reader, guess what? You're producing reluctant readers. So I think that's really important. Next thing I want to draw attention to is our Make Your Own Comic tear off book. Now, this is one of our big pads. It's $13.95, and it encourages them to draw their own comic. So lots of different options for them, and really great for creativity. It also has a few prompts along the way. What are your characters? Maybe some beginning, middle, end ideas. So we absolutely love this. It also goes really well with the Draw Your Own Comic book, which is in this series. Another series that I love recommending for this age. These are write-in books, so they write on the pages. And I think it's really important that I pause right here and give you a little bit of understanding of why these are important. And I will say this, I really struggle to sell these, and I think the reason being is I am a purist at heart, and I'm like, don't write in your book. But actually, there is so much to gain from them putting pen to paper. And here's why. That muscle memory is being learned when they pick up a pen and they write out, and a mistake being made has to just stay there on the page. And my goodness, I can't wipe it clean, or I can't hit the delete button. And so it actually is an entirely different way of learning that is so beneficial for their brain development, learning that mistakes are okay. We can change direction, and we can work around a mistake. We don't have to just delete it or wipe it away as if it never happened. And so write-in books are so important for your child's brain development, and that's why these ones are super important. Okay, maybe along the same lines, actually not even maybe, definitely along the same lines, are our activity books, and we've got a lot of them. Again, just using that muscle memory of practicing and knowing that a mistake is going to be there for the world to see, and that's okay. And yeah, just really, these are really great for over the summer. I often sell a lot of these over the summer, or if the kids are traveling, for them to do in the car on the way to their destination. So those ones are also really good. Next, we have our beginner series. Now, I know that these sell a lot. If you're in schools, you likely have sold thousands and thousands of these. They range in price from $8.95 to $10.95, and there are over 70 in the series. So I wonder if one of them has that. Yes. So there's just a few of them. There's a few more of them. Lots and lots in the series. They are a small hardback book, and it's a non-fiction book. But the reason these are so important is because, remember point number one, what is your child interested in? Finding books that your child is interested in is likely going to garner a lot more success with them wanting to read it than books they're not interested in. And so these books here really do appeal to so many different topics. And then these ones here I would recommend for your 5 to 8-year-olds. Now, maybe 7 to 8-year-olds I would recommend, or 7 to 9-year-olds I'd recommend our Beginner Plus. Beginner Plus is a paperback and a lot more information in them. But remember I was telling you about that title and first paragraph? Again, I'm telling you, you can trust Usborne. They're absolutely consistent. So there's those ones there. And then last but not least, I'm going to just go through very quickly some of our, leveled readers. So I'm going to start with the ones that I do the most with in this age group, and that's our Series 1 readers. Series 1 readers are an amazing beginner book, because especially these stories of monsters, they all have 3 individual stories in them. And look at the text. Like, this is perfect for your grades 2s and 3s. Certainly ones who are just learning to grow in confidence with their reading. And then we've got our series, so that's Series 1. We've got Series 2. And in Series 2, we've got the Billy and the Mini Monsters series. And these are a fabulous grade 3 reader. Like, I recommend these for a lot of grade 3s. Especially for boys who need a little bit more visual, and so these have a lot of visual. If you have a parent who says, do you have anything like the Dork Diaries or anything like that, those ones. Then we've got our Series 3, so we've got Animals at War, we've got Our Fairy Unicorns, and available now, these are not in a series, but these ones just came out this month, and my grade 3 devoured these in 3 days, like one each night. He just like loved every single second of them. But again, like, why do you love them? Oh, they were good. I'm like, no, give me more information. Give me, like, I need juicy adjectives. What made it good? And so yeah, so he really liked these, and I recommend these for grade 3s as well. So grade 3, by the way, ladies, is 8 and 9, I believe. 7, 8, and 9, like that kind of age group. Okay, now before I go on to the very last book that I want to recommend, because we don't have very long, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a style of learning called multimodal learning. Now, multimodal learning kind of goes on from what I taught you yesterday with those 4 learning styles, which I'm assuming we all know about: visual, auditory, reading, writing, or verbal, and then kinesthetic. Okay, so multimodal learning is when we combine more than one, so 2 or more learning styles. What actually happens in our little ones' brains is that they store that information in multiple parts of their brain. So when it comes time to recalling that information, it actually comes much more quickly because it's been stored in multiple parts of their brain. This is revolutionary for a child who is wanting to learn, right? Because you can combine maybe a kinesthetic learner with a verbal learner, and know that whatever they're learning as they move, as they move and they're listening, they're going to be storing in multiple parts. So when it comes time to recall it, it comes much more quickly. How do Usborne books really use multimodal learning? Lift the flaps. Lift the Flaps is multimodal learning. It's kinesthetic. I have to move. I have to be physical in order to read and get this information under this flap. So our Look Inside books are multimodal learning books. They require more than one learning style in order to receive the information underneath the book. Another multimodal learning is our Fold and Fly books. I have to use my body in order to make something, but I'm reading along in order to do so. So I'm combining multiple learning styles. Our magic painting books are multimodal. They are looking at a picture, so they're very visual, but it's also a story. So you could be reading the story while your child is painting, and that's a multimodal learning opportunity. So any opportunity that you can find to combine more than one learning style is always going to produce a deeper learning experience. And so really encourage your parents when they're reading, maybe if they're reading, our music books, our Four Seasons. Oh my goodness, when that Four Seasons book came out, that is a multimodal learning because they are listening to the music whilst they are learning about the Four Seasons. And what better piece of music to put with a Four Seasons book than the Tchaikovsky Four Seasons? So absolutely incredible book. Okay, and then the last thing I just wanted to mention to you is nope, I'm going to save this for Monday. It's stages of learning. So I don't want to drown you out with information, but it's the stages of learning. I've got two more series of books that I wanted to show you, and maybe you've never seen this one before, but this is the Little Book of Horses and Ponies. Also available in this series is the Little Book of Cats and Kittens, and we love these books. They're $10.95, so perfectly priced. And look at all this wonderful, juicy, yummy information about horses and ponies. This one appeals to so many kids, and because of the price, it's kind of a padded hardback. Because of the price, parents love it as well. So I sold a lot of these at Christmas for So those ones are fabulous. And then last but not least, again, that muscle memory of writing in a book is our word puzzles, memory puzzles, number puzzles, I think, and then also all of our crosswords. Now, what's wonderful about these crosswords is the vocabulary. So this one here is travel. Is it? Yeah, travel crosswords. Oh, it says it right on the front. Travel crosswords. And so lots and lots of different opportunities for beautiful vocabulary and places that they maybe have never heard of. So lots of learning that happens whilst they're learning, while they're doing that muscle memory, whilst they're staying occupied. And honestly, these books are amazing, and they are also $10.95. Okay, well, ladies, I think that is everything that I have to show you here. Obviously, as I said, there are lots more in this age category, but we'd be here forever if we were going to do that. So hopefully that was helpful for you. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm happy to take any questions or comments in just a second. Thank you, ladies.